It's been 4 months since I entered motherhood. What the heck? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I cannot believe time has flown so fast. I've been wanting to do this video for so long, and as you can see, 4 months later, here we are. I have a 4-month-old. I've been 4 months into motherhood, and let me tell you, I remember my labor and delivery story as if it was just yesterday. I also did my makeup for you guys so that we have a little something to do. I didn't really share what products I'm using, so I'll be linking everything in the description box below. Let's get into this makeup look and let's get into my birth story. What the heck? I had a whole baby. I'm so excited to be sharing the birth story. If I sound a little congested, that's because I am. If you hear a little bit of background noise, Sissy is here. She's literally falling asleep. We are currently trying to sleep train her so that she can fall asleep on her own. Adeline, which is my daughter, she was supposed to be born. Her due date was August 3rd, but she decided to come a whole week early. She was actually born July 27th at exactly the day she turned, or I turned in my pregnancy, 39 weeks. So I had an amazing pregnancy and I'm so grateful that I had such a positive experience. However, I am a believer, and so praying for me and having faith and trusting in God, I feel like played a huge role in my experience of pregnancy and especially my experience of birth. Once I found that I was pregnant, I was super specific in my prayers and what I wanted, my desires. I was having hope and faith that God will honor that. The only things I did not pray for, or I forgot to pray for, were the ones that I already have written down in my bank of prayers for my next pregnancy, and I'm already starting to pray for, because those were some of the things that caught me off guard that I'll talk to you guys about later. So let's get into it. So it was Tuesday at midnight where I started to feel some contractions, but I didn't really know they were contractions. I still kind of thought they were Braxton Hicks, and they weren't taking me out. So I was just like, okay, they're not taking me out. This is manageable. So it is what it is. But that whole entire night, I remember that I kept getting up to pee, which was pretty normal because I was carrying low my entire pregnancy. So I would wake up 5 to 6 times a night to pee because sis was just literally chilling on my bladder. So anytime remotely a little bit amount of pee started to form, I had to use the bathroom, and I felt like I had to pee a whole gallon, and I didn't. I would literally just pee droplets. But on Sunday or Monday, I had done my nails. I love doing my own nails. That is just, it makes me feel good. It's my nails and my hair. I love to have them done, and I do them myself at home. So on Sunday, I did Gel X French manicure on one hand, and I still had to do the other hand. I don't know why, but I just had a feeling that she wasn't gonna be born in August. I thought she was gonna be born around July, like ending of July. And so I just kept praying. I was like, Lord, please let me be able to do my other hand before going into labor, because I don't want to have one hand done and one hand not done when she gets here. So I remember that on Tuesday, no, it was Wednesday at that time when I started to do my nails. I woke up that morning and I was like, okay, it's been a few days. I haven't had the chance to do my other nails. Let me just get it done so that I can give birth with my nails done. That is when things started to happen. I remember that while I was doing my nails, the contractions, at this point it was definitely contractions, they were starting to pick up, and I was just like, okay, like this doesn't feel like just regular cramping. This is a little bit more intense. But again, I wasn't like screaming my head off. I wasn't crying or anything. And all I kept telling myself was, girl, it's about to get a whole lot worse. So just prepare yourself and just breathe through it. And I was distracted doing my nails, so I had something to do and something to keep my mind off. I don't know about you, but the way I kind of manage pain is I just gotta deal with it, and like deal with it alone, and kind of just like process what's going on. So I literally didn't even tell my husband anything, and I was just upstairs in my little nail corner, breathing through my little contractions and making sure that my nails were done. Literally right on time. When I finished doing my nails, everything started to pick up, and I went ahead and I used the bathroom, and I noticed that I had blood. Like there was blood on my panty and like when I wiped. So I was like, oh my God, like things are happening. And although it wasn't my mucus plug that came out, I was just so excited, you guys. I did not get nervous at all. I literally was just like, oh my God, the day's finally here. We're about to do the dang thing. Like I was so excited. I called my OB and I told her like what was going on, and she was like, oh my God, you're probably in active labor. And that was it. She was like, come on in and we can get you checked to see like how dilated you are or whatever. I was so excited. I told my husband, and I was like, by the way, I have been like contracting. And by then I started to time them because they started to get more and more consistent. I'll put the screenshot. They were like 2 to 3 minutes apart, literally from 0 to 100. And so it was at a rate that I was able to keep track and kind of predict when the next one was going to come. And so I remember taking the shower of my life that day. You know, when you're going to give birth, you really don't know. You have an estimate of when baby can come, but it's never really accurate. So you just got to keep shaving, keep yourself nice and clean, because you never know when the moment is going to come. And so I took the best shower of my life. I shaved, I showered, I washed my hair, I styled my hair, I moisturized, I put lotion on. Because my water didn't break, I wasn't in a rush to like go to the hospital. I wanted to make sure I had everything just in case. But at the same time, like I wasn't expecting to stay and like be, what is that word? Be like registered to stay and like give birth. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know. Like I was expecting, like I knew I wanted to stay, but at the same time, like I wasn't sure. One of the things that I prayed for was I didn't want to go to the hospital multiple times. Like I just wanted to go when it was time to give birth. I live about 40 minutes, 45 minutes with traffic away from the hospital. So I knew that if I was having contractions, that car ride was not going to be it. So I really was praying. I was like, Lord, please, like, let me not have any false alarms. I just want to be able to go in, get checked in, and let's have the baby. By then it was around 5 or 6 o'clock. I want to say 4 to 5 o'clock. That was like high peak of traffic time. So there was a lot of traffic going down there. I was like squirming in my seat kind of, but nothing again. I wasn't crying. I wasn't like freaking out or anything. I was just so excited that baby girl was finally gonna be here. Although I was still 38 weeks, I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to have this baby. And I was just so excited to like have the baby and like meet the baby. Little fun fact about me, I hate hospitals. My goodness, I hate hospitals. They make me anxious. They make me nervous. I feel trapped. I feel like I can't get out. I don't like the feeling of being in a hospital. I mean, I don't think anyone does, but it's a serious thing for me. Like I really, really don't like the hospital. So I kept that in prayer. I really wanted to feel peace while I was in the hospital and like all of that. Another thing I prayed for that God thankfully honored. Is my foundation too dark? Well, this is not a foundation. I'm mixing it with a foundation because this one I got too dark, the e.l.f. Halo Glow. And I feel like I got the shade too dark. So I'm mixing it with the Milani foundation. But I want to like brighten this up without putting too much makeup on, because I really haven't been wearing that much makeup these days. Oh, I forgot to color correct. After I had changed into like my gown so they could check me in to see how much I'm dilated, they placed us in like a waiting room, and I felt so bad because there was a lady next to us that I think she was also like pregnant and stuff, but she had a real severe situation, and so she was crying, she was yelling, like she wasn't, I felt her pain and I wasn't even in her shoes. So I did feel so bad for her. Up to this point, I was able to keep myself controlled and not freaking out and not crying, but just hearing her kind of like feeling her pain, it was getting me like a little claustrophobic, like I need to get out, kind of like panicky. And so I kept telling my husband, I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. Like this is not working. My contractions are getting more intense. We weren't being seen by the doctor. So I was like, okay, like I was starting to like freak out a little bit, but still kind of like able to keep myself composed. Finally ended up checking me and she told me I was 1 centimeter dilated. And to me, I was like, all that pain and I'm only 1 centimeter? For whatever reason, I thought I was going to be like 4 or even 5. And so I knew that it was just gonna get so much worse from here, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this right now, like what the heck. So she gave me the option. She was like, if you're planning on getting the epidural, we can give it to you right now, and you know, we can check you in and we can basically get things started for you, or you can go back home and wait until you're like 5 or 6 centimeters dilated, so we can, like, I think she said 5, so that you can get checked in. Remember, I did not want to be back and forth traveling an hour back home to come back in traffic, in pain, uncomfortable car ride. I was like, no. I was like, girl, shoot me up, give me the epidural. I want to get this baby out ASAP. The funny thing is that as a first-time mom, I was like, I want a natural birth. I want to give birth naturally, and like all this nonsense, literally nonsense, because you have no idea what you're about to experience. And although many women have done it without an epidural, girl, I salute you. Couldn't have been me. Literally, I was like, we're only at 1 and this needs to go to 10 and I'm already this intense? No. So I went ahead and got the epidural. They checked us in, they put us into the room. Oh my God, how could I forget? The worst part that nobody talks about, because I haven't heard anybody talk about this, is the IV. I did not No, nor had I expected. No, I didn't pray for the IV because I didn't think it was gonna be a big deal. Obviously during pregnancy, you're always getting poked to get your blood work and like a bunch of tests and stuff like that. So needles to me is not like a big deal, but the IV is a whole other animal. On top of that, it's in your hand, which is just an uncomfortable position. And so when they put the IV on me, I was like, this is gonna take me out. Like I couldn't even move my hand. She couldn't find my vein. So I don't even think she did it right. So they poked me. My hand was in so much pain until the time that we went into my like official room after they like checked me in or whatever. And I told my husband, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to give birth with the pain that's in my hand right now. So we need to figure this out. So I told the nurse and she was like, oh, it's like I don't know, I forgot the terminology that she used, but she basically said that they did it wrong anyway, so they were gonna take it off and do it. They ended up putting mine like right here. Still painful, but not as painful as your hand. Oh my god, that was literally the worst part. And then after they gave me the IV, then they were gonna give me the epidural. So the epidural, the doctor came and I was pre-traumatized because you know how everybody tells you like, oh my god, for the epidural you can't move, you can stay paralyzed. Like, girl, don't even breathe if you can. So mind you, my contractions were already like 1 to 2 minutes apart. This is the only time, you guys, that I cried. This is the one out of the 2 times that I cried. I was not expecting the epidural to hurt so much, and I don't even think that the actual needle hurt so much. I just think it's because my doctor, he literally poked me 6 times, and it's because I kept feeling it on my right side. And so he would ask me like, okay, where do you feel? And I'm like, it's more on my right side. And so I kept like jumping, and he was like, no, like don't move, and then that made me cry because I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to be moving, but it hurts. Like you keep poking me and like it's so into your spine. 6 times, you guys. I'm gonna insert the picture so you can see all the little hoyitos that he left me because that was so bad. And then what scared me the most was he said that if it doesn't work, we have to go in again. And so I was like, Lord, please, like, please, let this work, because if I have to have him come back and check me and poke me again, like at this point, just that's it. With the combination of the IV and the epidural, I was just like, no. Thankfully, after being poked 6 times, after crying and like trying not to move and like squirming in my seat a little, he got it. We laid down and it was fine. All was well. It worked. I also was nervous that like my legs were gonna be dead, because a lot of people say that like they don't feel their legs. And I don't know about you, but like I get freaked out really easily. And if I can't feel my legs, that alone was gonna freak me out. And so that was something else that I prayed for. I said, God, I want to be able to feel my legs. Y'all, he honored. I'm telling you. The way God honored the little things that I thought would be like not a big deal, were like a big deal to me, he honored it and he granted it. My nose is running, so I feel like I have boogers. So I was able to like pick up my legs, move them, but I wasn't feeling any contraction. So I don't know what in the Holy Ghost happened there, but I was able to move my legs and I was so happy, because again, me not being able to move or feel my legs would have kept me freaked out the entire time. So I'm so grateful that that wasn't the case. And so after that, it was literally smooth sailing from there. Finally here in the room where Adeline is gonna be born. And Jelly is all ready. She was up all night with contraction. So here we are. I don't know if it was nerves or something. I think it was probably nerves. It was the pain, the body back like that. I had my worship playlist. Again, I'm a believer, and so worship just calms my soul. It distracts me and it just sets the atmosphere and the environment. I remember throughout my entire pregnancy, I was praying for anybody who was going to be in that room. I was like, Lord, just put your hand over anybody who's going to come in contact with me, the baby, my husband, my mom, anybody. Just anoint them and just let this be a peaceful, beautiful experience. And just as I prayed is exactly how it happened. The room was so peaceful. I was having my contractions. I remember they give you like a little dosing thing where I think it was like every 15 to 20 minutes you can click the button and it gives you like a little bit of more of the epidural. Very small amount, but it was very controlled, obviously. My husband had a timer and he was on epidural duty. And so every 15 minutes he would like, press the little button so that I wouldn't feel anything, and it was good from there. They did go ahead and put the catheter. With the catheter, you guys, the catheter is basically where you can pee, because obviously since you have the epidural, you can't use the bathroom. So they put the catheter in, and that was a little freaky. I asked my mom to take a picture. I was like, Mom, can you take a picture so I could see it? And so there was like a little long kind of like tube situation. So once I saw that, I wish I would have not seen it, because once I knew it was there, I felt like I was paralyzed. I didn't want to move. I'm like, I have a tube in my hoo-ha. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be moving. Even though I couldn't feel it, just mentally I knew it was there. And also, you guys, I went into childbirth blindly, and I am so glad I did. We're all different. Some people like to do research and know what they're getting into, and others, like me, I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't want to be anxious. Just let me face what I'll be dealt with when it's happening. And so I did just basic research on what to do, like things like that, but nothing of like the nitty-gritty of things, you know, because I didn't want to get freaked out. Look at my nose. Literally, mucus is dropping. A few hours passed, and they asked me if I wanted to do the balloon. Again, I hadn't done really research on it, and I'm glad I didn't, but they explained it to me, did it, it didn't hurt, and it actually was really helpful because it took me from being dilated to 1 to 6 centimeters dilated within like a few hours. So things were like happening pretty quickly. Although things happen pretty quickly, I feel like everything feels like it's going by so slow. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys, we were supposed to go to the OB to get my cervix checked to see if I was even dilated, but because when I was in the shower, I started to time my contractions and they were like 2 to 3 minutes apart, I was like, yeah, we should just go straight to labor and delivery instead of like having to travel and like for them to just tell us, yeah, you can go. So I'm glad we decided not to do that like last minute. Another thing, I forgot to eat, you guys. And if you are going to give birth, and if the cards kind of fall the way it happened for me, that your body is giving you a sign that you're about to go into labor and you can like go to the hospital, make sure you eat something, because I thought we were gonna go to the OB, and like I said, last minute, and I was just super excited. I wanted them to tell me like if I was ready or not. I didn't even eat, and that was the worst thing ever because the hours were passing by so slow. I was so hungry, and I remember just asking my mom and husband, like whenever they would get food, like obviously they wouldn't eat in the room, but whenever they had food, I think it was just like one time, I was like, what did you guys get? Can you explain it to me? I want to taste it in my brain, like I want to savor it. It was so funny because I literally kept asking them and they didn't want to tell me. I'm like, just tell me what you're eating so that I could picture it and like taste it and in my brain. After I went from 6, a few hours later, they asked me if I wanted some Pitocin to speed things up. So they started giving me Pitocin. When I got to 6 centimeters, I want to say it was about like 8 o'clock. And so, was it like 8 o'clock? Or maybe like 10-ish. Everything was pretty chill throughout like the duration of that time. Then it was, I want to say it was like 1, 2 in the morning where they upped my Pitocin to kind of get things to just, you know, work a little bit faster, speed up. Am I feeling lashes today or natural lash? I kind of want to do natural. At around 5 to 6 a.m. they gave me the peanut so that I can start to feel like the baby dropping or something. I think that's what it was, so that I can start to feel the baby drop. And I remember the nurse was like, girl, why are you pressing the epidural? And I was like, hello, I don't want to feel anything. And she was like, well, you need to feel like if you're gonna have to push. So she was like, just try not to keep pressing the button so you don't get a higher dose. And so I was like, okay. For the peanut, they kept rotating me so from side to side just to monitor her heartbeat. And sometimes she didn't really like the position, so it would lower the heart rate, and so they would just ask me to keep moving from side to side. And again, because I had the catheter, every time she would ask me to move, I would move in like slow motion because I was scared that I was gonna pull on a organ or something. I know that's not how it works, but again, in my brain, that's just how I process things. And so I was like moving in slow motion anytime I had to flip. And so then that's when they asked for the peanut after I stopped, and I just felt like I had to poop, you guys, for hours. I remember like when they gave me the peanut, and even like before they gave me the peanut, all I kept saying is, I have to poop. Like, guys, I have to poop. I have to poop. I have to poop. And I didn't have to poop. It was really just the baby that was coming down, but it felt like I had a giant mohong. Like a giant piece of dookie like wanting to come out. That's just what it felt like. It didn't feel like it was a baby. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I have to poop. But they're like, no, that's a good sign that you are feeling that because that's the baby. And so every time they would come in and check on me, they were like, so what are you feeling right now? And I was like, I feel like I gotta poop. It was so funny. because I literally kept saying that. I was probably so annoying, but I was just like, I gotta poop, and obviously I can't go poop because I had the epidural on. And so I remember when they told me, they're like, when you have like the feeling that you need to push, call us and let us know. But I didn't feel like I had to push at all. I think when I was like on my side, I remember I was facing like this side, I kept feeling like the baby, like she was right there, and like I didn't want to tell them anything because one of my prayers were that I literally wanted her to come out in 3 pushes: her head, her shoulders, and her body. I didn't want to be pushing for hours. Everyone says like first time moms, you're gonna be there for a few hours because you don't really know what you're doing. No, I literally was like, nope, 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 nope. I'm gonna know what I'm doing and I'm gonna just wait until she's right there. They gave me like an hour and a half, and I just felt her coming down. I was like, this girl's about, I feel like if I look down, I could see her head. Like that's how low she was. So then I finally told them, I was like, guys, I think it's time. By then I was already 10 centimeters dilated. And oh, I forgot to tell you guys, they had broken my water between 7 centimeters. So after the balloon, after a few hours, they did break my water. I wanted to wait to see if it would happen naturally, but it didn't. So that was such a weird feeling. The water breaking was so weird, and that was just like weird to me. Anyway, so then I felt her move and I was like, okay, it's time to like push. And so it began, you guys. Let me tell you a little TMI, but I was constipated the week before giving birth, and whenever I would have to like try to poop, I was like pushing. And I feel like all of that prepared me for labor, because the same way I was trying to push when I was constipated is the same exact way I pushed during labor. And sis came out in less than 10 minutes. Literally, she said, whoop, she came right out. And another thing that I was so grateful for is that I told the nurses that I didn't want to tear. Another prayer of mine, I was like, God, please, I don't want to tear. She was like, don't worry, like we don't want you to tear either. So they did have some kind of like oil lube situation. I don't know what the actual terminology is, but my mom took a whole bunch of pictures during labor and we saw them kind of like pouring it right around where the baby was coming out, and it would help like lubricate the area to prevent tearing. The Lord, won't he do it? Because girl, I didn't tear. She came out in like 5 pushes. She was like, whoop, right out. Then they placed her on me and everything was so surreal. First of all, I thought I was gonna cry, and I did not cry. She kind of felt like a little glob, kind of like a big thing of slime on me, and that was kind of weird. I don't know why I thought I was gonna cry instantly, but my brain, I am a slow processor, so I process things insanely slow, and so it took me a minute to process that. And then on top of that, they're still working on you down there. They're massaging your stomach, they're pushing it out to try to make sure you get the placenta, get everything out. They were like trying to see where the bleeding was coming from. I didn't tear, but I had like a little minor, kind of like a scratch inside that they put like one stitch just to stop the bleeding. So I was so grateful of that, because again, that is something that I prayed for, because I know that if you tear, recovery is going to be more intense and you have to be more careful. But that wasn't the case for me, and I'm so grateful. And she was a whopping 7 pounds, guys. She was even God's perfect number, which is crazy. It was a lot, but it was the best moment of my entire life.
No, my eyes look too tired. Chelly está cansada. Yeah, y te recostadita con Chelly.
And she was out. And that was it. Literally, that was it. After that, it's like, all right, mom, do what you gotta do. No, I'm just kidding. It was not it, because breastfeeding, baby, I need to do a whole video on breastfeeding, because breastfeeding caught me so off guard. That is something I did not pray for, just because I thought it was so like common sense, just like latch the baby on, she's gonna feed, you're good. No, it's not that simple. I would love to do like a breastfeeding video, so let me know if you guys have any questions on that, because I'm 4 months in now, and now is that I'm confident in my breastfeeding and I'm just so happy, because when I first gave birth, I would have never seen the light at the end of the tunnel. It just felt so hard. It felt very painful. Again, I can carry that on for another video. But I just want to say that as someone who was terrified of giving birth, I am so grateful that I believe in a higher power, that I believe in God, because no one else in this world could have given me the peace that I've experienced during labor. And I am just beyond grateful for that, because everything, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, everything that I prayed for, God granted for me. I prayed for the nurses. I prayed that I wouldn't tear. I prayed that I would have one trip to the the delivery hospital, I prayed that she would come out in 3 pushes. Although she came out in 5, that was good enough for me. I prayed that I had a smooth delivery. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel anxious. And as an overthinker and someone who literally freaks themselves out for like anything, this was such a beautiful experience. And the reason I wanted to share my birth story is because I really wanted to encourage you. Just pray, ask God for the desires of your heart, because he will grant it for you if you believe it. Your birth story and your story will also be just as beautiful. And although our pregnancy was a surprise, I am so grateful that God chose me and called me into motherhood at the time that he did, because my life and just where I'm at right now, I'm thriving. I'm so happy. My marriage is in a really great spot, and I love motherhood. It's only been 4 months, but I cannot imagine life without Adeline, and I'm just so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be a mom. I'm so happy to know the Lord and incorporate him and have him a part of my life, because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't believe and have faith in God. So that is my birth story. My daughter is currently sleeping right now. I wanted her to be on camera, but she's knocked out, and mamas, you know, you don't wake up a sleeping child, so I'm gonna let her chill. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it encourages you. If you're pregnant and you're gonna have a baby, I am praying for you, and I pray that you have a beautiful, seamless, peaceful labor and delivery. I will be sharing with you guys my worship playlist. These are the songs that I had in the room, just saturating the environment, the atmosphere, and it really like help keep the room just fresh, you know? That is all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah. Bye.